everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Jane and my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British early retirees, debt and mortgage free, and living a thrifty, frugal and money saving life on a super tight budget here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Friday we open our kitchen and we cook something for you. Let's take a look at what we've got for you this week. So, today I'm going to make for you a very traditional British recipe of a pork pie. A pork pie is made of a hot water crust pastry, and I've made mine today with regular flour. So it's a cold meat pie that's eaten at a buffet, it's eaten at a picnic. They're traditionally made and eaten at Christmas time, something that you would eat with pickles or relishes. So it's one of those recipes that's so versatile, you can make it all year round. It'll keep in the fridge for a good few days. You can just cut a slice off whenever you want it. And it certainly is one of my husband's absolute favourites. So without further ado, let's get cooking. Let's run through all of our ingredients to make pork pie. Pork pie is a mixture of minced fatty belly pork and shoulder of pork, and that is pretty much it that goes into the pie. The seasoning I have here, and the ratio, you want to know about weights, don't you? I have 1 kilo of meat here. I have 400 grams of shoulder, I have 600 grams of fatty belly pork, and that's going to go into my tin. It's going to be a big, deep, fat-break pie. It's something we eat at Christmas. Yes, it's fattening. Who cares? It's absolutely delicious. If I was in the UK and I was there, I would not make this. This is something that is so good to buy in the UK that every supermarket sells their own version of pork pies. Never one as big as this. This as a pork pie will keep Mike in snacks and lunches for a week. So I have 1 kilo of pork, 600 grams of fatty belly pork, 400 grams of shoulder of pork. My seasoning, as I have a big teaspoon of sage, a teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of salt. That is the entire of what goes in the inside of the pie. It's a hot water crust pastry, so I'll be using all 250 grams of the lard with 600 grams of regular pastry. I don't think I would ever attempt to make this gluten-free. And as I know Mike will eat the whole lot in the week, he'll do a really good job of this. And once the pie is made, it has a jelly added to it, which we add a chicken stock to. If you can get pork stock cubes, that's brilliant. I haven't got any, nor am I going to buy pork stock cubes just for this. I add in 50 grams of breadcrumbs into this as well. It just keeps the pork in the pie in a solid piece, and it doesn't all it basically stops the pork from shrinking, so that's a good thing. So you'll see me finely dice my pork, add my seasoning to my meat, and I'll pop that in the fridge whilst I make the pastry. my bowl, I have 600 grams of regular flour and I have a tablespoon of salt, and I've mixed that in well. In my pan, I have 200 millilitres of cold water and 250 grams of lard. I'm going to take this over to my stove and I'm going to warm this through until this is all melted. So the water and the lard is at the same temperature and the lard has all melted. And then I'll come back and I'll show you how I mix that into the flour. So it's an unusual pastry. It's very fatty and it will be very rich. And with the lard in it, it'll be absolutely delicious. But it's warm. I now need to put this in the fridge for 1 hour. I won't be able to do much with it whilst it's still warm. So I'm going to put it in the fridge in a plastic bag, tie it up for an hour. There it is. And it's going into the fridge. So there is my finished pie. You saw me roll out the base of the pastry. I left my pastry in the fridge overnight. I decided to finish this the next day. So it was very hard work rolling it, but if you leave it in the fridge for 1 hour, it will be way easier than it was for me to roll it out. Hey, I make mistakes, I share them with you. You saw me put the minced pork, the chopped shoulder of pork, and 50 grams of breadcrumbs in there, and you saw that I previously seasoned my pork. And you saw me pushing it down with a spoon and pushing it down with my hand because I don't want any air gap. Then you saw me roll out, I put the rolled out pastry top on, and you see I've left a really big hole in it. It needs to vent. This is going to go in my fan oven at 180 degrees centigrade for 1 hour. Or 365 Fahrenheit. A fan oven, that is, for 1 hour. You might need to leave it in longer if you do not have a fan oven. So it's going into the oven now. Here is my cooked pork pie. It's going to take a long time to cool down. I'm going to leave it to cool down until tomorrow. And the heat of it's incredible because it's such a big pie. It's just going to keep on cooking in there as well. And you can see how you make the hole and all the sort of meat juices bubble out. And I've used a spoon and tried this. It is stunningly delicious. So there it is. I'm going to leave it to go cold until tomorrow. It's a huge, great, gorgeous pie. It's a kilo-sized pie, so it's a big pie. And tomorrow I'll show you how I add the gelatin into the pie. The next thing I'm going to do with my pork pie is I'm going to make the jelly that surrounds the meat, and you'll see what I mean by that when I cook it, when I cut it finally. If there's any space around the meat, and the meat does shrink when it cooks, which it may have done, I hope it's done, it will be surrounded by jelly. So I'm going to use half a stock cube and 1/4 litre of water and 1 sheet of gelatin. You'll need to follow, if you make this, any of the gelatin that you buy, any of the instructions that comes with it. But I'm only going to make 1/4 litre of stock with the gelatin. So a little bit of water, melt the gelatin and put it in. I don't need to tell you how to make gelatin, you'll follow the instructions on the packet. So that's what I'm going to put in there. And I will only use half a stock cube because 1 stock cube is for a half a litre and I'm only making 1/4 litre. So there it is, the finished pork pie. You can see it's a solid meat pie. It's massive, it's absolutely massive. And I'll show you how we serve this as British people. So a pork pie, a bit of salad, some chutney, you would call that relish, and pickled onions. And there it is, pork pie with hot watercress pastry, served with salad. And this is something that as British people we would very traditionally have with a buffet meal. So only British people understand this, we would call this a picky tea. When you've got bits and pieces left after Christmas, you might have some cheese, you might have some pork pie, you might have some salad, some relish or chutney as we call it, and pickled onions. But there you go, pork pie served just as we British people like it. Now we really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'm going to ask you to please go on, hit that like button. We get thousands of views and that is so really nice, but come on everyone, hit that like button. We love to hear from you and we read every single comment. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.